Njeri Mburu here. My topic today is languages. Languages. There's so many languages spoken out there, and I'm one person who is usually amazed to even listen to other people speaking, even when I don't understand the language. It's just amazing to me, you know. Personally, I am one of those people that speak more than one language. I can actually speak in 3 different languages, and I have a fourth language that I don't speak, but I understand it. Now, my question that usually baffles me is when somebody is speaking, I usually wonder, is the person thinking in their primary language and then translating to the language they are speaking in? Or do they really think in the language they are using at the time? Now, that's a question I'd like to pose to you out there. Those people that have different languages, when you're talking, are you thinking in the language you're using at the time? Or are you thinking in your primary language and then translating to the language you're using? I would like that answered. Please comment down there and tell me how it works, because even though I speak more than 2 languages, I don't know really how that works inside my head. I can't tell. I would like to know. Comment down there and tell me. Now, other than the languages that are, primary languages, there's a new language that has recently come up. And the language is politically correct language. You all know about politically correct language. And actually, if this one thing that I actually totally agree with my president is not using politically correct language. I'm not a fan of it. In fact, I dislike it. I dislike politically correct language. That is the language actually, instead of saying exactly like what you mean, you just beat around the bush. You don't call things exactly what they are. You beat around the bush. And actually, to me, it's just confusing to the masses. Like, I'm old school. Actually, so I like calling a spade and not a big spoon. Just calling it exactly as it is. Without using some other terminology, some other words, or making such a big sentence or a big, talking so much when you just mean one thing, one simple thing. Let me give you an example. I used to work to this place where there was this warning, I don't know whether to call it a warning or just a notification that used to say, you may not use your cell phone. So anyway, one day, one of my coworkers came with his cell phone and it was in his pocket, and actually he had it on vibrator. So when it burst, he just pulled it, looked at the message, and put it right back in the pocket. He was reprimanded for having his cell phone at work. Now, the argument was, and he was arguing, who says he cannot come with a cell phone? The notification says you may not use your cell phone. That means actually you could bring your cell phone, but just don't use it when you're working. So my thing is, instead of even saying you may not use your cell phone, why can't they just say you cannot bring your cell phone here? Just call it as it is. I dislike politically correct language. I like things called as they are. I'm just old school like that. Call it as it is. Now, according to the statistics, which are real, people under that years old, they are more into the politically correct language. There are people who are so antsy, like you say something and they'll be like, oh, I was so traumatized. Oh, I was so hurt because she or he said this versus saying the other, which still means the same thing. Only that one person is direct. Well, the other one is just beating around the bush, loud and loud, trying to say the same thing. So when somebody tells you something directly, you are so like, oh my God, I'm so traumatized. Or she said this versus the other. Hello? You know what? From the look of things, down the road, we're going to start rehabilitation centers for people being just unbearing, so unbearing. Like you just say someone something and somebody's just in a panic attack, or somebody's just hysterical that you said this versus the other. I just dislike it. I dislike politically correct language. I like straight up, call it as it is, say as it is. I don't know about like say UK, but in America, yeah, politically correct language is way out there. I tell you, other than our president who is like, forget about the politically correct language, call it as it is. These other people, most people, guess what? The statistic also says people in Democrat Party, they are more into politically correct language. They're going to go hysterical sometimes when you use some words versus using the other words. They're going to be in panic attack. People in a Republican are more direct, like calling it as it is. And I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm an affiliated voter. I usually vote for people. I don't vote for the party. Statistics says people in Democrats, they are so politically correct. Like the words you use when you're talking to them, it's going to set them into a hysteria. Versus a Republican, tell them, come, go, sit, stand up, just like that. But with Democrats, when you're talking to them, or people under 30 years old, you're going to be either watch what you say, because you have to beat around the bush. You can't call it as it is, because you might send them to the hospital sick. Tell me about that. Anyway, me personally, like I said, be straight up with me. Tell me as it is. I can handle it. I'm a big girl. I can handle it. I don't like beating around the bush. I like straight up, calling it as it is. Now, comparing Africa and America. Yeah, like I said before, I grew up there. Now I'm here, so I can compare both worlds. I can compare the two continents. In Africa, actually, politically correct hasn't arrived there. They call it as it is. For example, they're not going to beat around the bush trying to say somebody, somebody has, like somebody's crazy. No, they're not going to be using some terms that you're all confused what they're talking about. If somebody has lost their mind, they will not even use the word somebody has lost their mind. They'll say somebody is mad, as M-A-D, straight up like that. They call it as it is. They don't want to confuse the masses. They just go straight up. So, anyway, back to the language. That's a new language. It's in the field. It's up there. It's rolling. So, me personally, like I said, I dislike it. So, how I handle it, if I sense that you're one of those in that bracket, like you're a Democrats, or you are the 30, or I just sense that you are in that category, that if I use a certain word, you're going to be all shaken up. All shaken up. I just don't bother engaging with you. I don't bother engaging because I'm not going to beat around the bush, wasting a lot of time and energy, wasting, carrying on trying to say one thing, but using a whole paragraph to just tell you, let's go. I'll have to beat around the bush saying that, because if I say, let's go, you might be all shaken up. Hello? Anyway, we have a freedom of speech. You that like that politically correct, if it works for you, it's all good. For those that it don't work for, like me and the president and the rest of us, we're going to roll that way. Okay? Peace out and happy holidays. Cheerio.